Hello, Dr. Lee here, pediatric health psychologist and founder of Teen FND Academy, which is an online group coaching program for teens with FND and their parents to get their lives back because they deserve so much more in their lives. So, I have yet another amazing interview that I had with one of the families in my program recently, and I did something a little bit unusual this time. Most of the times, the families that I interview are either graduating or really getting close to graduating from my program. But because this family did so well from the get-go, I wanted to interview this particular family to ask about their progress and how it is possible to get your life back even without spending the entire 6 months in my program. So please meet Erica and her daughter Alayna. And you're going to be hearing from them about their own journey of FND and how they are progressing and making amazing recovery. So without further ado, let's get started. So before joining the program, Alayna, can you tell me a little bit about what your FND was like symptoms, how often, how it impacted daily life before you joined the program?
I'd have pretty bad episodes, kind of like daily, or about daily, I'd say, because I was doing marching band, like the color guard program in there, and then I also had PE, and those would kind of like throw me into about, I'd say, on average, they were around 3 hour long episodes where I would be like having like shaking and jerks the entire time, and sometimes I wouldn't be able to breathe or talk. So those were the normal episodes for like that time period.
And do you remember how long you had that experience before you came to the program?
I think it all started like right at the end of last July, and we joined the program in like late February or very early March.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
however long that is.
hmm Quite some time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Erica, from your perspective as a parent, what was it like? Because nobody really knows FND, right? And
No, I think we were lucky because we got told what it was pretty early on, and it made sense to me. Like Google Queen. So you start looking, and I was not surprised when that's what it turned out to be. And so I think pretty early on we were able to frame it as like we know your body and your brain are safe, and it always ends, so it's going to end again, right? But didn't really know what else to do. Like they kind of just said, here's what it is. Good luck. And then that was it. So we didn't have I think a lot of families go through like tons of doctors and tons of providers and tons of things. We didn't have that experience. It was just more like, okay, well, now what? Right?
Yeah, the
Mm,
doctors are kind of like, this is what it is. Have fun dealing with it, kid.
yeah, which is not really helpful
No,
at all. Yeah, yeah,
no,
yeah.
not so much.
Yes, yes. And remind me, how did you find me? Erica, I think I know that we chatted a little bit on Facebook.
Yeah, it was like I just at some point hit the right Google search question that popped you up. And so I kind of started stalking's probably a little negative, but like checking it out because I didn't know, right? And so you kind of just appeared and I started watching your videos and joined the Facebook group and was kind of just like, what's this all about? What's her take on it? Um, and so just kind of stumbled across you. And then eventually we're kind of like, what do we have to lose? Right? Like, let's give it a shot because we didn't really have any other viable alternatives. So,
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I still remember, Elena, when I met you, you were wanting to get better. That was so clear, right? There's no doubt about it. And
yeah.
then I wasn't sure like if you were like 100%, ready to go, because almost all teens that I work with, they feel, what is this about? I'm not sure. The skepticism, is always there, or like maybe unsure. I don't know if you're scared per se, but like, I don't know, that. Do you remember that experience of like joining the
Yes, I
program?
do. I don't think I was scared like of the program to
Mm-hmm.
say. I think like the FND had become like the normal for me, and because of how often it happened, and I kind of got used to adapting it to it. And I was like, I do want this to go away, but I also was like hesitant because I wasn't sure if like this was like would make it go away, right? Like, or kind of all the stuff I would have to do for it. And so I think that was kind of some of the like initial setbacks for me.
That's
And I
right.
think I was ready to do it kind of before Alayna was, because I brought it up just casually a couple times of like, hey, I found this thing, and I shared some of the resources with her and would be like, I'm gonna try doing this because look, here's this official thing or this like professional thing that says this would be good for you, and I want to do what's good for you. And so like I would kind of drop it here and there. And I remember Alayna kind of saying, like, basically, like, I'm used to this now, sort of, and I don't think about it that much. And what if thinking about it more makes it worse? It was almost like she didn't want to engage more with the
Mhm.
symptoms. I don't know if I said that well, but
Yeah, I think in my mind it's kind of like it was kind of like I'm gonna use Vivi in the background as an
our cat.
example. Kind of like when your cat is running around and knocking stuff over and making your life annoying, but if you don't pay attention to it, you could kind of like tune it out a little bit and like when it does happen, you're able to deal with it, but like it's still inconvenient if that makes sense.
That's right. Yeah. It was certainly impacting your life, because it was
Mhm.
annoying and, not really, uh, I guess, getting in the way, but like definitely getting in the way, of your
Yeah.
life, right? Yeah. But I agree, over time, people start to adapt. And then almost feel like maybe this is normal, right? This is something that we have to deal with, kind of thing. Yeah. Even though you want to get better and then be done with it. So that is
And she
very,
really was pretty resilient in terms of like she would have an episode, but once the episode was over, she might be tired, but like we would still carry on, right? Like we were still
Mhm.
going to school, we were still doing things with friends, we were still going out in the community. It was just sometimes it was hard,
A
but
lot of times it was
it
hard.
was just, we were still doing it. So I could kind of see where she's
Absolutely.
coming from of like, I can still do things. And what if this doesn't help or what if this makes it worse? I think was what I was
Right.
interpreting.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. And so then you joined a program. And what has your experience been like inside Teen FND Academy? Now you're in it.
Yeah. I think it was definitely like a positive, like a big improvement because like I still had episodes, but they went down to like an hour, 30 minutes, and that was a big like decrease from what I was experiencing before because
And sometimes even less, like
yeah,
sometimes just a couple minutes.
yeah, like that's very different from 3 hours of having an episode. Although there definitely were moments where my FND like did spike up and and I think it was in this program like 7 hour episodes, but I was also like the strategies helped and the other stuff that you taught us how to do. So that definitely helped. Like there were definitely moments where I was like, oh boy, this is fun. But like the program overall definitely helped. Like there were days that it was pretty rough, but there were also a lot more days where it was really good. So I think
Mhm.
the good triumphed over the bad.
And I think it's now been like over a month, really anything significant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There are different components of the program. And, I keep hearing, not only from you, but others too, that the skills and strategies, right, that you're learning through the modules and then coaching calls, and they're helpful because that's something that you can use, right? Was there anything that you feel like has been helpful so far for you, Elena?
Um, Definitely the breathing exercises and the 5 things one. I think those have been the most impactful and helpful ones
Mhm.
for me. Because they help me with my FND, but also like my anxiety when I have it. So it's kind of like hitting 2 birds with one stone. So I think it was very helpful.
Absolutely. What about you, Erica, as a parent? What's your experience been like?
I think the coaching calls were good because you give very clear and practical feedback in like a direct and kind way. So it feels easy to ask questions and then it feels like the answers are helpful. And Even if maybe that particular day I don't ask a question, and maybe some other family's question isn't exactly our situation, but I can still filter it through what we're doing and pull something out of what you're saying that we can apply. And I think the mindset piece for both of us has been helpful too. Like I've definitely seen an increase in her confidence and feeling like she can manage it when it does happen. And I mean, like I said, nothing has really happened in over a month now. And we're going to 2 concerts this week, and we're going to the beach for her birthday next weekend. And like,
Wait, that's next week.
or next week. Yeah. And
Wow.
just like doing all the things. And it's kind of now like when something does pop up, it's like, okay, that was an unpleasant bump, and we'll get through it and keep going. Right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic. So there's definitely change in symptoms, from like I guess a clear sense of progress, right? And then also we always talk about the recovery is not never linear, right? And then it's more about what can you do in response to when there is a setback or challenges in your life. Like you mentioned, Alayna, it's not just about FND. Like life happens, so you're basically learning how to be resilient, so you're always coming back, from anything and everything. And by using that, doing the right thing with the right mindset, right? So you are doing amazing, job. And I'm also curious in terms of the progress or change in terms of how you guys communicate with each other, any changes in that? Because we talk a lot about how parents, can do to help teen to be
I know what
empowered.
I think, but what is your take? Maybe see if she's noticed if I've done anything different.
I feel like it kind of stayed the same. I think we always have had like a better relationship than most teens do with their parents because
Mhm.
I don't act like a teenager. I'm more like a well-trained toddler. That's kind of the energy I have sometimes. But not true. It's just I don't act like like a normal teenager. So I think I definitely have had a better like relationship with my parents than other teens have had before coming into this, and I think it's probably stayed the same. That's my personal thoughts.
Yeah, I think relationship wise, we've always had a good one. I think
Mhm.
in terms of my response to like specific episodes, like from the very beginning, I tried to stay like calm and positive. So maybe it was just like inside, I was actually feeling more calm and positive.
It was denial. That was our survival tactic for months.
If this is inspiring you, I encourage that you check out all the other videos on my channel, here or here or here or here, wherever and everywhere. Denial and survival. Got
Yeah.
it. So you were in a life support, right? Okay.
Yeah.
But without the guidance, what else can you do, right? Like you're on
Yeah.
side life support and survival mode, right? And just a
Yeah.
holding pattern, and then just hoping things are gonna get better. And that's where most families feel stuck, like, okay, we're still here, then what now, right? What can we do to move forward?
And I think
So
it's like for me, it's been a shift in not that I ever thought she couldn't handle it because she could and she did, but like feeling like, okay, we're not just making it up. Like there's an actual thing and she knows how to use it and she can do it and she is managing it. And so like I guess trust is the wrong word because I always trusted her, but like that confidence and that faith of like she can do this because now we have guidance and we're not just making it up.
Yeah.
Right? Um,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And it's to me it's a bit, I would say, in a good way, unusual to interview families who are still in the program. It's usually kind of towards the end of the program. Oh, hey.
Sorry. The analogy
Yeah.
just popped up.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Look what happened, right? Yeah. And yeah, so I wanted to highlight this major progress you have made, in relatively short term. And that is for a reason, right? Because yes, you were already in a good place to start, right? In terms of the family relationship, right? Like working as a team
Yeah,
and
definitely.
doing the right things. But when you have that with the confidence, it just accelerates, that,
Mhm.
okay. stay the course because this is the right path, right? And then sometimes it's just a few skills away, from really unlocking that recovery journey. So when, other families find you this video somewhere on my website and then thinking about, oh my gosh, what is this program? Or, okay, we've been sort of like checking it out, stalking, right?
Thanks, Mom.
Still thinking, right?
There's
Yeah.
a better word, I just don't know what it is.
It's okay. Yeah. Researching. How about that,
There,
right?
there, nice reframe.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that's what you wanted to say, so I got you. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
cut that
Alayna,
part
what
out.
would you like to say? Because teens like to talk to teens, right?
I think the way that I handled it that worked the best for me was, and this was, it was definitely a stranger approach, but it was pure spite. I'm sorry, this is kind of how my brain went around about it. I felt like that FND was irritating for me not to be able to have control of my body all the time. And so I think most of my resilience didn't came from I can do this, I can do this. It's I want to beat that. I want to just show that FND that it cannot like have this total control over my life. So spite probably isn't the best way to describe like my mindset through it, but it was kind of like this I'm going to be able to control my body despite what FND wants me to do. So it was kind of like more of a rebellion against FND,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense.
But I think the
Absolutely.
program helped you move along with that,
Yeah,
right?
it definitely helped me move along with that, but I
Of
think that
course.
was one of my mindsets while going through the program was kind of I can get better because I've seen me myself get better through the program. And then when it kept happening, I was kind of like that's when spitefulness came on. I was like, I know how to deal with this.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, like when I found it and kind of was trying to warm up to it or decide how warm up to it was like, I think my concerns had been that it was going to be just kind of sharing war stories or, trying to like, well, mine is this bad, mine is this bad, mine is this bad, or, hearing what other kids were going through, like she'd adopt a symptom, like not intentionally, but that somehow like her brain would learn, oh, well, I'm not doing this, I could do this, right?
My brain's
Um,
like,
and so I didn't want that. And so I think that was my hesitancy of like, almost could the groups make it worse for her and kind of stress me out too of like, oh my gosh, this is what it could be. And that really hasn't been the case. It's been very like solution focused. And yes, sometimes people have to say this is what happened to be able to get to the problem solving part, but it's really been very kind of proactive and skill building. And so I think that concern that I had didn't pan out at all. And I was glad. It just, so if anybody else is feeling that way of like, what's this going to be like? And are we going to pick up other things? Like that didn't happen. And it's been, I think, very positive and very like structured and clear. So that's been,
Mm-hmm. That's right. And that is true, right? That concern is real because there are other, I guess, groups and whatnot who all they talk about is how horrible this is, right? And then life is doom and gloom and all of that. And then we
yeah,
do
I knew I didn't
need.
want that.
because that's
Exactly.
helpful.
Yeah. There's a place for that, and time for that. I hear you. Yeah. But if the recovery, getting over, right, FND is the real goal, then naturally, that is what you look for, right? Like how could you get that, right? So, yeah, but I'm really glad that you shared that information because I do hear that concern too, right? How is this different? Because they're not here yet, right? So,
Yeah.
and then, you wouldn't know.
Right. And we hadn't been through anything else. So it had no reference point other than just kind of like imagining what it could be. But I think, watching some of the videos and then like getting some of the handouts and seeing, they were very like kind of linear helped. And then we just kind of jumped in
Mhm.
and it was good.
Yeah.
Great.
I also think like the program helped me unlock that like spiteful mindset where it's like once I learned that I could like have control over it, that kind of like the I'm gonna do this because I know I can mindset became like a lot stronger. So
Mhm.
yeah, that definitely helped me gain confidence in what I was doing too.
That's right. Yeah. It's kind of coming back to full circle, right? Because at the end of the day, it's your body. And so you don't have to fight against your body, right? But sometimes you need that grit, to get through so then you don't give up, right? So there is a right things at the right time that would help. And that's different. Everyone's journey is. So I'm so glad, Alayna, you are making amazing progress. Not quite done yet, in the program, but it's just so amazing, to hear and then see how far you have come so far.
Yeah, because it's been 3 or 4 months, I think, that we've been in the program. So it feels like we've
Mhm.
come a long way. And I would agree. I mean, you talk about the extinction burst, and there was pretty early on. I feel like I had that concern of like, oh, did we do the right thing? And then it kind of settled and we started seeing that forward movement. And it's not perfect. It's not like it just stopped. But I mean, anything that did happen felt smaller and more manageable and not as overwhelming. And then I think the time between things, it just kept getting bigger and bigger. So, and we were
That's
lucky
right.
with the school. Never really there was some, like at the beginning, especially before the program, when there was some bigger incidents, they had kind of a bigger response and was really helpful, but we never had the nightmare response. And like Alayna had really supportive friends. And so we kind of lucked out with a lot of those pieces as well.
Yeah, there were like moments where I would have difficulty walking and I'd be on the floor, but like my class would be like across, like you have to go that and then that and like and I would have a friend who was going to that class or like the same direction and they would just walk with me there to make sure I don't fall
Mhm.
over or something bad happens. And then like my teachers would know and I would be able to continue on with class.
Yeah. And there
Mm-hmm.
were times like I remember we were at an evening school activity and something happened and I went to, just check in because she was like, I don't think an adult knows where I am. And so I went to check and like she had a couple of friends with her and they were, talking about Taylor Swift and I don't like just having a normal conversation. So it was nice to see that she had friends that were kind of like, okay, this is a thing that happens and we're going to hang out with her and, rejoin everything when it stops. So
Yeah.
I think we looked out that way too.
Mm-hmm.
She had a pretty good group of kids around her.
That's right. Yeah. Which all helps, right? Because then you're putting yourself in that kind of environment where recovery is, sort of natural, right? And then so then you feel safe to, use your skills and strategies without worrying about, what they're going to be thinking or saying and things like that. That's great.
I think it also helped that in that instance, my best friend was there and I've known her since like I was 2. So she's seen the stuff multiple times and she's just like, Alayna, you want water? And I'd be like, no, thanks. And she'd be like, cool. So it like I definitely didn't have like a group of like close people like treating me differently or
Mhm.
judging me. They were just kind of like, okay, let's just sit down.
Before we started the program, there were sometimes she stayed at school and there were times I picked her up. And I remember talking to the health room attendant one day and she was like, this friend that Elena's talking about, she was like, yeah, I was worried she was going to be able to get on the bus, but that kiddo just came down and scooped her up and off they went.
Wow.
She was like, it was great.
She knows how to deal with me.
So
Sounds great. Yeah. Elena, what would you say to other teens who are kind of thinking about, joining the program, but sort of on the fence?
I was definitely on the fence when I first heard about it, and I was definitely kind of nervous and not sure. And I think I would just tell them that it is definitely worth it because I came like a long way, both in my confidence, my FND episodes, and how I was able to handle it. It definitely was a really big improvement overall.
Got it. You're getting your life back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Erica, any last words that you would like to share for other parents who are researching, gathering information?
Like you were all those many months ago.
No, I think it was worth it. And I think, you have to make the commitment and we've just kind of built it into the routine of life. And I think it was worth it. And I'm glad we made the jump and I'm grateful for your guidance. So
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I cannot just wait, for you to keep going, right? And then on to the next school year. And it's a whole summer. And, we're not, again, not going anywhere, but I'm really, seeing like huge light at the end of this tunnel already.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very impressed and proud of you.
Thank you.
Yes. And Erica, same as well.
Thank
It takes a teamwork,
She's
right?
worth it.
Sometimes.
Worth the investment.
Baby doesn't make it that so.
Yeah. But thank you so much, guys, for your time. And it was so valuable. And I know that so many people, families are going to appreciate hearing your experience, especially who are researching, and thinking about, right? Because it's just what normal families do, So thank you so much for your time.
Mhm.
It was
Thank
really
you.
Thank
helpful.
you.
Awesome.
Have a good day.
Thank you. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
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 How amazing is that? Can you tell Alayna is such an amazing leader in terms of getting things done for her own life, right? And it is really about getting the power back, getting the control back. It is not about waiting for somebody to fix the problem for them. And Erica, mom, is doing amazing, wonderful job of empowering Alayna to take the control back to her life. And I don't know about you, but I always am impressed and inspired by all these families, just like Erica and Alayna, who are really working hard to get their lives back. When they actually do the right things with the right mindset, the recovery is not just possible, it is expected. And just being surrounded by other families who are on the same page, on the same journey with the right mindset, the recovery is even accelerated. So I hope this was really hopeful and give this idea that you could be the next family. Well, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next video.